Running two businesses might sound impressive on paper, but in reality, it can quickly lead to burnout if you don't build your work around how you actually function, not how hustle culture says that you should. I have a marketing business where I support clients with content strategy, planning, and creating and execution and all the things. And then I have a travel writing business, Dates in the States, where I create books, blogs, vlogs, and a lot of other content around exploring cities one day at a time. And I do it without working full days, late nights, weekends. So here's exactly how I balance my two businesses without burning out and why protecting my energy has been like the most important strategy I have ever implemented. I have to say, the biggest mistake I made early on was trying to force myself into a normal workday. I left my 9 to 5 for a reason, and previously my 6 a.m. to midnight job, which was event planning. I left those for a reason. It was exhausting, and there was plenty of other things I wanted to do in my life rather than work, work, work. And so when I built this business, I had that already in mind. So now my days, I work from 9 a.m. to noon or 9 a.m. to like 1 p.m. And that's because that's when I find that my brain works best. My mornings are when I feel most creative, when I have the most focus. My afternoons, I find myself with very low, creative energy and just simply lack of motivation to work on anything work related. So over time, I really noticed that after 1 p.m. just wasn't the most productive time for me. And once I stopped fighting that and I built my businesses around my peak hours, everything just became easier. Instead of feeling guilty for not working all day, I now focus on things like doing the right work during the right time with clear boundaries. And that alone has significantly reduced any signs of burnout that I have. So when noon hits, I'm done with that deep work. I eat lunch at home. I step away from screens. I transition out of business owner mode into lifestyle freedom mode. And so I find myself in the afternoons, I intentionally do non-creative, low pressure activities like dog walking and babysitting dogs out of my home for doggy daycare. I've been doing that for years. And honestly, it's just been a really nice side hustle for some extra cash. So I guess I am hustling, but in a different way. And I really like getting outside, even if I don't have a dog scheduled for that day. I love taking walks and going to a local park, just getting out of the house or out of my office. And that physical reset just helps with the mental exhaustion that comes from trying to push creativity when it's just simply not there. And if there's snow, I'll be honest, I hate the cold. I live in the wrong state, apparently. So those days look slower, and I allow that. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard me talk about how our home is just a huge fixer-upper. So I've gotten to do a lot of DIY projects. So actually, this room is a DIY project. This was a breezeway, the transition from our kitchen to the garage. And it's still in transition, but it's heated. I can actually work out here and be in this open space with lots of windows and a lot of my plants, greenery, and it's just so great. And not having that time in the afternoons, this room probably would have never gotten to the point where it is right now by now. So having afternoons free really allows me to do exactly that, work on my house, and that ultimately allows me to distress from my work. One of the biggest reasons why people burn out running multiple businesses is honestly that mental overlap. So I avoid that by keeping everything separated. I use Asana heavily, and it's a non-negotiable for me. I have one board for my marketing business. I have one board for Dates in the States. I have individual boards for each client. So nothing lives just in my head. If it's not in Asana, honestly, it just doesn't even exist. So note taking is my friend, but Asana is my bestie. And no, this is not a sponsored video, but having things planned out or written like this in the form of something that I can look at every morning and check things off as I go allows me to focus one business at a time and avoid like too much switching back and forth. And it just reduces my overall decision fatigue. And instead of juggling everything every day, I strategically plan my week so each day has a focus. So, like, for example, I've limited my client calls to 1 day a week. I batch all calls on 1 day, like early on in the week. Like right now, it's Tuesdays. All my clients, thankfully, have availability on Tuesdays where we can just knock out those calls earlier in the week. And that gives me clarity on like those priorities and deliverables that they need. And then I've also set aside client work days where like each of my client is assigned a specific day during my week in Asana. And of course, I have a few of my own business tasks like trickled into those days, so it keeps me consistent. But having those clients scheduled on specific days, so I like focus on that client each day, like a different client on a different day. You know what I'm saying? It just like keeps everything like aligned, like it keeps me focused. And honestly, I've noticed it helps me get a lot of my tasks done faster because I'm not like switching from client to client and task to task, And of course, clients occasionally need random tasks throughout the week, but because I have systems in place, like those weekly calls, and I touch base with them every Friday via email, letting them know like what's been worked on, what is outstanding still, like very little feels urgent or last minute most weeks. And this structure really just keeps me productive without feeling overwhelmed. Creativity still needs input, but not endless scrolling. So I limit my social media use as much as humanly possible, even though all of my clients rely on it in some way or another. Instead, that I just find that I really enjoy watching or listening to YouTube videos versus endless doom scrolling on Instagram or something. In those YouTube videos, like this one, like it really does fuel my creativity no matter what time of day it is. If I'm working on something on the house, like I'm painting or something, like I'll listen to a YouTube video. If I'm eating lunch and I'm just like digesting what I just worked on during the morning, I'll listen or watch a YouTube video. And same with when I go for a walk or something like that. And those videos, like it really just gives me great ideas for my own content or my clients' content. So I love watching like marketing videos, finance videos, even decluttering videos. And it's just a way for me to like de-stress. You know what I mean? And I find it really valuable to see how other creators are structuring their lives and their businesses. And this just gives me inspiration without draining my energy. It's consumption with intention, not doom scrolling. Like when you're looking at Instagram or TikTok or something, like things are just being thrown at you without your consent, really. You're scrolling through your news feed and you just get distracted so easily. And then you just find yourself 1 hour later and you're still looking at stuff. YouTube is more intentional. Like you click on what you actually want to watch. And a lot of it is educational versus these mindless TikTok videos that, especially what's been popping up for me lately. I'm like, oh my God, these people don't have brains. So with that being said, I have to admit, like burnout doesn't just come from working too much. It comes from never switching modes. So you can't be all work, work, work. You need other outlets as well. All right. So here's what I've learned about balancing two businesses. Balance doesn't mean equal time. It means intentional energy use. Systems matter more than motivation. And less working hours doesn't mean less impact. So let that sit with you for a minute. By designing my businesses around my energy levels, getting clear systems in place, and setting realistic expectations, like I've been able to grow two brands sustainably without sacrificing my health or my creativity. And I have to say, burnout isn't a badge of honor. You don't need to work all day, be available 24/7, or hustle nonstop. You honestly just need boundaries, systems, and a schedule that fits you. That's how I balance two businesses, and that's why I still enjoy showing up every single day. I love what I do. And I feel like if I worked longer hours and I didn't give myself all of that time to like do things other than work, I would be hating what I'm doing right about now. So if there's one thing I hope that you take away from this, it's that you don't need to work longer hours to build something meaningful. You just need systems that work with your energy. If this was helpful, give it a like, give it a subscribe, make that change colors. It's really fun, simple, and free. So be sure to subscribe for more realistic marketing and business content. And right now I've been using myself as a case study building dates in the States. So be sure to check out those videos as well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. It's exactly 12 p.m. right now. It is 45 degrees in January here in Rochester, New York. So I just got done recording that video for you guys. So you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to go for a walk and enjoy my afternoon and see where it takes me.